everyone, this is Doris from the Art and Nature Center at the Peabody Essex Museum, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this reverse silhouette type image, which I actually have two here, which is why there's two moons, but you can put them together and create a little banner for the spooky season that we're now in the middle of. So the way that I did this was with some sponges that I cut into different shapes and then stamped onto the paper. You can see it gives it that really neat speckly sponge effect. So what you're going to need for this project is sponges. These are easier to cut because they're flattened, but once you wet them, they look exactly the same. This is the compressed sponge. This is the regular one. So I'm using some cardstock because it's a little bit thicker, and I've got black and purple here, and the other day I used dark blue like you saw before. You also probably want some water. You can just use the sink, but since I don't want to be getting up and down, I'm going to use this bowl here to wet my sponges once I've cut them. Some white paint. You could also use yellow. That would look really cool against the background. It would really pop. A dish to pour your paint into, scissors, and just in case, a paintbrush. I have already cut a good deal of creatures. I've made a cat, a bat, and this is an owl. It's tricky to tell what it is when it's just flat like this, but you could always add details in to your silhouettes later on with a marker or crayons or colored pencils, whatever you want. So I am going to make a snake, I think, with this one, because that's another kind of spooky creature that isn't really as scary as it gets attention for it being. Like, bats aren't really as scary. They eat a lot of mosquitoes and fruit. They don't really ever hurt people. Cats are definitely known for being spooky during October, but a black cat is no more bad luck than any other type of cat. So I am going to cut my compressed sponge into a little wiggly shape. Yeah, this is gonna be cute. I mean, spooky. And now I'm gonna throw it in the water, squeeze it out, and I've got a little wiggly snake. And then I'm going to cut this one into, what other spooky things could I use? I'm gonna make a broom, like a witch's broom. So I'm gonna cut it a triangle shape and a straight line shape. Cut a couple slits in it to make the bristles of the broom, and then I'm going to throw it in the water. Now you don't want them sopping wet, but you do want them to be soft and squishable, so that's why you want to get them wet before you stamp with them, or they'll be too dry to pick up the paint. So a lot of the animals we think of as spooky animals are just animals that are most active at nighttime, like bats. Owls are most active at night, and the reason we think they're spooky is because people don't go out during the night very often, so we don't know a lot about them. And things that are mysterious can sometimes be scary, but if we got to know them, they wouldn't be so frightening after all. So I want some stars in there, so I cut this one like a little star. I'm just gonna dip it in the paint, tap it a little on the edge, and then start printing by pressing it wherever I want there to be a star. Let's put the moon in the sky. Sometimes the brush is good for spreading that paint out. It can be hard to get it to the edges just by tapping. Maybe I'll put the owl on the broom. That will be pretty silly. I like that idea. I'm just figuring out my picture as I go. I'm gonna spread that paint out again. I don't want it too thick on one part of the sponge and too thin on another, because then it will have a weird effect on the paper. So this will be a nice project to put in your window for Halloween. Since we're not going to be able to go trick-or-treating this year, we can at least decorate and let everyone know we're still celebrating the spooky season. I'm going to put a little snake at the bottom of the page, down here, maybe a couple. I can just flip it around and then they can be talking to each other. What else? Oh, this is a maple leaf, but it also works as a tree. I think I'll put it behind the snakes there. So you can make all sorts of shapes. You could make yours not spooky themed. It could be nature themed. It could be different types of candy you could cut out. Beautiful. I think this one is finished. Let's do the black one. I'm gonna do it this way, and I definitely want the cat in here. My cat and my bat and my spooky branch. So you can use any kind of white paint, but it wants to be a liquid paint. So if it's a little too thick, just add a little bit of water, and then you'll be able to spread it out over your sponge. My table is very squeaky today. I wonder if you can hear that. All right, there is my cat. It's gonna be the star right in the middle here. The star of the show. Boop. A cat. And for this one, if I wanted to do it the other way, I would have to stamp it the other way. So I could have two. I'm not gonna have two today. I'm gonna have a cat and a bat, and they're gonna be friends. And it's gonna be flying just above the cat right here. Ooh, I put it a little close. So it's gonna be touching the cat's ear with its wing. Maybe it's patting the cat. A nice spooky branch. And the nice thing is I can do a bunch of them and then have almost like shrubs over here in the corner. Need some more paint again. So just do a little bit of paint at a time so you don't end up with too much paint and end up wasting it. But you can always get more if you just do a little bit at a time. And of course you can usually stamp multiple times from just a little bit of paint on your piece here. So maybe my cat is in a field of hay or something. It is harvest season too, so lots of fruits and vegetables and grains are being picked right now. You could do an apple orchard. There are so many possibilities for fall. Now I'm gonna add some stars because it is still a nighttime scene. You don't always have to have the moon in a nighttime scene because some days the moon is not visible, but it's nice to have stars. There we go. So this is a pretty fun and pretty simple project, and you can reuse it again and again and again because you'll always have these sponges available. I hope you enjoyed this project, and please share it with us using the hashtag PemPod or hashtag PeabodyEssex. And I would love to see your creations on those hashtags, so definitely feel free to share. And I'd love to see what types of little sponge creatures you come up with. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.